Good morning. Today we will discuss the origin of sedimentary rock. We all know that the planet Earth is the only living planet, and this planet Earth has three important components. First, the lithosphere, then the atmosphere, and the hydrosphere. And all these three components of the planet Earth, they are providing one very important aspect without which we can't survive on this planet Earth. The atmosphere is providing free of cost the air we breathe. The hydrosphere is providing free of cost the water we drink. And the lithosphere is providing free of cost the soil on which we are cultivating our food grains. And therefore, it is our moral and fundamental duty to think for the conservation of this planet Earth, because all these natural resources without which life can't survive on this planet Earth is provided free of cost by the natural system, by the nature and by the environment. So the lithosphere is the sphere of rock, and there are three types of rocks: the igneous rock, the sedimentary rock, and the metamorphic rocks. I personally believe that sedimentary rock is the life supporting rock, because all the fossil fuels, the coal, petroleum, and the gases, they are stored into the sedimentary rock. The water we drink, that is also stored into the sedimentary rock. So how this sedimentary rock is evolved, or what is the techniques for the origin of sedimentary rocks? Origin of sedimentary rock. So suppose that this is a rock. This may be the igneous rock, or this may be metamorphic rock, or this may be sedimentary rock, and it is exposed on the surface of the earth. And it is the law of nature. It is very important law of geomorphology that anything which is exposed on the surface of the earth, that will be subjected to wear and tear, means weathering will take place. So weathering is the first process in the origin of sedimentary rock. So what is weathering? Weathering is the decomposition of rock. It is the wear and tear of rock. It is the breaking of rock. And there are three types of weathering: the physical weathering, chemical weathering, and the biological weathering. Physical weathering, the weathering which takes place by the physical process, the frost action, the exfoliation, the abrasion, the attrition, all these are physical weathering. The chemical weathering, which takes place because of the chemical action, that is the solution or the pressure solution. The biological weathering, which takes place because of the biological action. So all these three processes, the physical weathering, the chemical weathering, and the biological weathering, they are responsible for producing the sediments. So the sediments are produced by the process of weathering, either from the igneous rock, or from the sedimentary rock, or from the metamorphic rock. So the sediments are produced. Now these sediments will be transported from their place of weathering to another place of deposition. In between, the process is transportation. So how the transportation of sediments will take place? The sediments will be transported either by the process of rolling, or the sediments will be transported by saltation, or the sediments will be transported by suspension. In the first process of transportation, that is rolling, the sediments are transported from one place to another place, but they are always in contact with the surface, with the bed, with the bottom. In second process of transportation, that is saltation, the sediments, they are once in contact with the bottom, they are once in contact with the bed, and once they are in the air, again they are in contact with the bottom, again they are in the air. This is the second method of transportation, known as saltation. Then the third method of suspension, third method of transportation is suspension, in which the sediments are never in contact with the bed, they are never in contact with the bottom, they are always hanging into the atmosphere. This is the third method of transportation. And the sediments, what will the process of transportation? The sediments will be transported by rolling or saltation or suspension. It depends on the size of the sediments. The size of the sediment is very important because that also decides the energy of the transporting medium. If the large size sediments are transported by the environment from one place to another place, it means the energy of the environment is high. And if the fine size sediments are transported from one place to another place, it means the energy of the environment is low. So which type of sediments will be transported from one place to another place, that depends on the energy of the depositional environment. So what is depositional environment? What is surface process? All those processes which transport the sediment from one place to another place, they are known as surface process. They are known as natural agencies, and as a sedimentologist we call them as sedimentary environments. So river is one process which transport the sediment from one place to another place, and you all can see that the Ganga river is transporting the sediment from Himalaya up to the Bay of Bengal. In the same way, the wind or the eolian action are another mode of transportation of sediments from one place to another place, and we all can observe that during summer the winds, they transport the sediments from one place to another place through suspension. Then the glaciers, they are also very important modes of transportation. They also transport the sediments from the mountainous region to the further mountainous region or to the downstream direction. Then the shallow sea and the deep sea, they are also transporting the sediments from one place to another place. So they are known as surface process. Again, the sediments are transported to one place to another place without any natural environment, and that process is known as mass movement. In this situation, the sediments are transported from one place to another place under the action of gravity. No process is responsible for the transportation. The sediments are transported from one place to another place because of the gravitational action. And all those, for example, the landslide, the avalanche, the soil creep, they are known as mass movement because the sediments are transported from one place to another place because of the action of gravity. Then the third process which is responsible for the origin of sediment is the deposition. So the sediments which are produced by the action of weathering, they are transported by various means of transportation. Ultimately or finally they are deposited into a sedimentary basin, into a low-lying areas. And there are various processes of deposition also. The traction deposits, all those sediments which are transported by the process of rolling or by saltation, their deposits are known as traction deposits. All those sediments which are transported from one place to another place by the process of suspension, their deposits are known as suspension deposits. Then all those sediments which are deposited by turbidity currents, their deposits are known as turbidites. Turbidity currents are high density currents, are the currents which are laden with sediments, which are full with sediments. Generally they are more pronounced into a lake or into the deep sea. The glacier, they weather, they transport and they deposit only one rock type, and that is known as diamectite. So these four are various processes of deposition. So these three, the weathering, the transportation and the deposition, are very important processes which generate the sediments, which transport the sediments and which deposited the sediments into a sedimentary basin or into a low-lying area. But finally, what we are getting into these sedimentary basins, these sedimentary basins are the regions where thick accumulation of sedimentation is taking place, but they are not the sedimentary rock. There is one very important process, and that process is known as lithification. Lithification is the process which converts the sediments into the sedimentary rocks. They are generally syn depositional in nature, means they operate at the same time when the sedimentation was taking place, when the deposition was taking place. There is one more term, and that term is known as diagenesis. The diagenesis is syn depositional as well as post depositional. So all those changes which takes place during or even after the deposition of a sedimentary rock, they are known as diagenesis. There are various subcomponents of lithification and diagenesis that we will discuss into next lecture. So there are four terms or four processes which are responsible for the origin of sedimentary rock. Number one is weathering, second is transportation, third is deposition, and the fourth is lithification and diagenesis. If there is any problem or any query, you may ask or you may come to me. Thank you.